You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. We got a great podcast today. Very excited for it. First, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. We'd love to look at the comments. If you're listening, rate and review, and follow us on all social medias. You'll see it in the description below. But yeah, we're going to talk about some guys that signed over the past week to the Vols. We're going to talk about the actual athletic program and the rise that it's on a little bit. And then we're going to break down going into Ohio State. What are we going to have to do? What are we going to have to take advantage of as a team? But going to be a great podcast. First, before any of that stuff, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
I'm doing well, Kyler. I'm doing well.
I heard you just got a little bit lighter before you came on the pod.
Yeah. Don't go in the bacon residence restroom for about 2 to 3 business days. Man, I'm doing great. It's a great time of year, and it's crazy to think that this time next week we will have watched, the game against Ohio State, which I'm extremely excited about. It was almost nice to have this little off weekend. Still watched a little football, but got some yard work done, got some stuff done around the house. But it just hit me. I was sitting there last night, and then it showed the commercial. I was like, yeah, next weekend's going to be incredible. I mean, I'm been fired up for all the games, let alone the Tennessee game.
I'm fired up for all of them. I think all of them are like very interesting matchups.
Yes, it's a good way to put it.
I think that like the Texas and Clemson game, like I don't know who Texas is right now. Like they've, the big opponents that they've played has been Georgia twice. And it's like I just that team is kind of unknown. And then Clemson is just like playing with house money. I mean, just who cares? You guys won the ACC. You sneaked into the playoff after losing your last regular season game. It's kind of like if you lose, oh well. If you win, holy crap, you're throwing stuff into chaos. I think it's the same way for SMU Penn State. Penn State has all the pressure on them. James Franklin has all that pressure on him, and he has yet to show up in big games. So it's like I'm excited to watch that. And then Indiana, Notre Dame, it's like the game of unproven Indiana teams. I mean, both of them are seen as like, well, you guys have a good record, but I don't know if you're actually a good team. So I'm excited. Very entertaining weekend.
I'll tell you this much. I'll be pulling for Indiana big time, though. I would love to see them beat Notre Dame because I just, I've never liked Notre Dame growing up. So, no, I agree completely. A lot of cool, interesting matchups. Last night, though, was pretty wild. You know me, and you know my feelings.
Hey, before we get into that, shout out our title sponsor.
I was
Bacon Junk Removal.
Yeah. Bacon Junk Removal. Started my own business. I've had some great jobs and opportunities so far. I'm very thankful to those people. It is a slow time of year, which I get and I understand. Right now, I'm just trying to get the name out, set the groundwork for hopefully a great spring and summer and fall. Your boy definitely needs it.
Spring cleaning, it'll come quick.
What's that?
Spring cleaning. It'll come quick.
Yes, it will. And so even if you don't have a need, please just help people, spread the word, get the name out there. I'm trying to do everything I can. Actually, I've been saying it, but you'll probably be hearing the radio ads coming soon. I just got off. I had a phone call Friday afternoon with the sports animal and stuff like that. So anything helps. If there's anything I can help you with right now, I'll do it. I joked last week, I'll do pretty much anything for money. So if you need help with anything,
that's right.
Bacon junk removal. Last night, though, you know how I feel about basketball. And it takes me a little bit to get into it. I love basketball. I've always said if I could have gone pro in anything.
I think it being in football season a little bit is part of it. I mean, yeah, we love basketball, but like football's number one in our hearts. So it's like tough to like get into the games and you're just like so worried about football.
Agreed. And I was about to say football is number one in my heart, but if I could have picked to go pro in anything, going pro in basketball would have been incredible. And that's just because even though football is number one in my hearts, being a professional basketball player is probably a little bit easier on the body than going to war every weekend on a football field. But it's still cool to like get to watch this team. I mean, I've watched the different games, and a lot of guys, a lot of new guys that you're still enjoying to get to know and getting to watch and kind of watch how the team plays together and all those things. And so I didn't expect us to win or lose last night. I was like, let's just go see how it is. I do know that Illinois is going to be a tough place to play. They brought it. The crowd was great. But to see anytime a game ends like that and you're on the right side of it is very exciting and very cool. And I'm just sitting there and they pass it in. I'm like, okay, we got 5-6 seconds. Like, this is enough to get down there. And you know me, I'm always like, go to the rack, because even if you don't make it, you get a chance of getting fouled. I don't want some fadeaway BS.
Yeah.
And so it was just really, really cool that we basically had a March finish in December. And it didn't have Chaz Lanier, didn't have Double Z in the game. And Jordan Gainey just clutched up. I mean, literally just clutched up. And it was really cool to see. And then you're on Twitter, and I'll let you talk about that as well. But then you're on Twitter, and I hate to say this, but I'm just being honest. Like I want Tennessee to do good in everything or do well in everything. I have zero care about women's basketball unless like I have a family member or like when my daughter's playing in it, or like I watched a little bit of Caitlin Clark last year, but it's no offense. Like I've made a point that like I would rather watch like women's softball or college baseball than like the pros. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a women thing, but like the basketball just doesn't do it for me. But when you go and you see a team beat another team the way that the Lady Vols did with 100 and I think 39 points to like 56, I was like, yo, you got my attention.
And broke a record for most threes in a game. They had 30-plus made threes. That is insane that they could do that. I mean, the turnaround that program's had in 2 years.
Dude, I'm telling you, all the right hire makes a difference, and Danny White usually does it. But I will say I had a nice little Elon Musk community notes today that it said actually there was a D3 team that hit more than 30 3-pointers like 2 years ago. But,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm so excited. Like, this was kind of an introduction game to basketball for me this year. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, we're undefeated. I haven't necessarily paid attention to as many of the games. Who have we played? Other teams ahead of us have lost. That's how we've moved up. And it's like, hey, we're number one in the country. Let me watch this game. Let me see what we're about. And it was like frustrating with the fouls. It was frustrating, like struggling to score. But the consistent thing about Rick Barnes is like playing good defense, giving a lot of effort. And like these guys that have come back, I just absolutely like Zakai Ziegler is one of the best Vols ever. I mean, the fact that he has been here for so long, when he comes in the game, I feel this like calming presence. Like Zakai's got it. Like I'm not like, now I feel good. Now I feel good. And then to have Lanier and Gainey just play balls to the wall. I love Lanier that he just shoots from the top of the key. Like, he's a point guard who's like, I want to be at the top of the key to shoot. Like, guys, that's like that straight on shot is one of the hardest shots in basketball.
His shot kind of weirds me out. Like, it kind of like the actual motion and how high his shot is sometimes, but it drops. So that's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And then I mean, Gainey he was like, okay, I'll do it. Just
Yeah.
took off. Just was like, I'm going to score these threes. I'm going to score for this. I'm going to get the assist. I'm going to take the ball on the last play of the game. It's like, dude, this is just incredible like clutchness out of him. So like you just said at the end of your thing, we just saw a March game in December. Like, we just saw like what a team, hey, you're going to be put in that pressure moment. Hey, here's what a Sweet 16 might look like for you. What do you get? Like, how are you going to compete? How are you going to play? And it's like, oh, wow, I love this. I love this team.
Coming down that, that final 6, 7, 8 minutes, you get Gainey hit a couple threes, Dubar, double D hit a nice one. And I love Zakai, and I love some of our new toys, but Jemai Meshack, man, I
love the effort. Let's just say that.
Let me just say this. It's weird because most basketball players that play basketball that can't put it in the hoop, if you're on a certain team, it frustrates me. And it frustrates me depending on how they play. But then again, like, I grew up and really got into NBA with the Grit and Grind Grizzlies, which Tony Allen was such a part of that team, and it didn't have to be offensively. But even with Meshack, when he drives in, they kind of go around top of the key, they swing it around, they get it to Meshack, and it's getting slightly down in the shot clock. And what does he do? They're always going to give him space on the outside. So he drives in hard. He gets right in there, right in front of the free throw line, makes it like he might go up, turns around. That's when he kicks it out to Gainey. Gainey does a sweet little like sidestep and buries one of that threes. And I'm like, damn, Meshack, like, I love that. Like, he's doing everything he can, and he's like, he maximizes his potential on the offensive end by just driving in, making the defense kind of close out or kind of sink in, and then kicks it out. Like, I saw that and I was like, man, I love that. It's beautiful. Like, do what you can do to help the team on offense.
Yeah. I mean, I think he realizes his limitations. He's like, okay, what can I do to help the offense? Because it does look like he's just passing up easy baskets. But I'm like, Meshack kind of knows himself enough where he's like, I'm okay, but like, I might miss this. But you know what? I might give it a good opportunity to somebody else.
That's in all my rambling. What I was trying to say is what you hit it is he knows how to play his game of ball. And I think that is what I respect so much, because I love somebody that just knows how to play their game and play it well, and they don't try to do something that they know they can't. Listen, I'm not saying that Meshack can't hit a big bucket when we sometimes need it. I've seen him do it in different times. I've seen him drop, 12, 15, 16 points in a game. I'm not saying that he doesn't practice it all off season to get better at shooting. It just is what it is. But when he just plays to the potential of his game and how it helps everyone else, I saw it last night and it just made me smile. I was like, I love that. Instead of going in there and doing something stupid or chucking a three or in a bad time, it was awesome.
It's team ball.
It's team ball. It's team
That's what you
ball.
love.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's jump into this. Signing class.
Let's do it.
We're not going to go over every guy because there's 20 plus. But we're going to go over that like top 10 to 15 dudes, just so that
we will
watch all their film, giving our opinion on them.
And we will hit the other ones. We're just saying for this pod, we want to talk about like the top half, and then we're going to talk Vols, Ohio State. Next week, we will break down the game, and then the week after that, we'll probably do the other recruits, and then we'll have our season recap type stuff, depending on.
Yeah. We'll as we go, we'll figure out, based off of when the playoff games are and everything like that, so we can at least finish out the season. We don't want to go for 2 hours on this podcast, breaking down the guys. But to start off, the big boy in this recruiting class, the 5-star David Sanders Jr., offensive tackle. First thing out of the gate is just like, here's a freak. Here is an athletic freak. Here's a 6'6", 290-pound dude who's fast and can get out in space and can move down the field. And it just reminds me of those those freak tackles you see in the NFL, and then they're like talking about him and they go, "Oh yeah, he played tight end in high school. He just put on weight." Like Juwan James was like that. He started out at tight end in high school and then put on weight. Joe Staley for the Niners played for a long time. He started out at tight end. Like, they're just super, super athletic. They put on more of the weight, and then it's just, you can't do anything to him. He's also just long. I mean, so long. His arms and legs. He's lanky as heck. And when he uses that length, there's nobody who can compete with him. The defensive linemen do not have enough arm length to get off his blocks. Like, that is just like, they're just screwed. Like, when he extends all the way, they don't have anything to grab onto. So I love that. I love that his offense that he runs in high school is kind of like ours, where he's getting out in screens. He's pulling around to the other side. We pull our tackles all the time. I love to see that. I love to see the aggression when he's getting upfield. His ability to find guys to block. I also think that, like, he's got gamesmanship when he's out there too. There's like on those screens where he's like trying to set up the play fake in a way and then get out there. He like slow plays it and then gets out there. There was a play on there where I saw him like literally almost turned out to the defensive end, and then he crashes down inside at the snap of the ball. So it's like he's playing with the defense a little bit because he understands how the plays work. He understands what he's trying to do. Just like, I love when guys have more of an understanding of football and they're being like, okay, I know that they want to try and pick up off of my stance, so I'm going to change it up on them. So just love to see that. In his pass pro, I thought he had good base the entire time on all of his reps. He's got good feet. He's got good base and good length. And it's like, dude, if you can just take advantage of that, you're going to be great. I still think he can stay a little bit more square in his pass pro and not turn those hips. But I've said it. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. There's not a lot of technique taught in high school. So it's like, hey, do you have athleticism? Hey, do you have some strength to you? Hey, do you have some gumption to want to put dudes in the dirt? Then I like that as an offensive line. Okay, I like that. But if you're sitting at like 1 out of 3, I don't know if I can bring you on. So, I mean, love it. Absolutely love it. Love that he's a North Carolina guy, like keeping that kind of pipeline open for Tennessee. And it's just, yeah, there's a reason this guy's a 5-star. Like, I look at him, I'm like, this is one of those tackles where you bring in, they're like, this guy's going to play real good ball for us.
I got a lot of questions on David. We'll probably spend the most time on David because he's our biggest recruit. You and I were fortunate enough that we went down on the field for the Florida game this year, that he was down there. And so we got to see him up close. And he's a great-looking athlete. He's lean. He's thin.
He almost kind of looks like a basketball player.
He does. He has a little bit of tight end, edge rush, basketball player look to him. And so that's my question to you, because I feel like I know the answer, but I want to ask because maybe I don't. But I know other people are going to know this. Like, hey, he's a 5-star offensive lineman. We're losing a lot of offensive linemen. You don't see him starting right away, do you? Or maybe so, since he's an early enrollee.
I normally do not see freshman offensive linemen starting, because I really do think you need to have an understanding of the entire offensive line and what everyone is doing.
I asked it because I think he's so light in the britches.
Oh no, That part I'm not necessarily worried about. Reason being is at tackle, if you are a little lighter, so are defensive ends.
Okay.
He is going to be heavier than any of the guys he blocks. Unless he's down blocking on some 3 techniques and noses, most of the time, the guy he's blocking, he's heavier than at 290.
Okay.
Could he put on 10, 15 pounds and be 305 by the time the season starts? I think that could easily happen.
Did you catch any of his senior year highlights? I couldn't find any, so I just watched the junior.
Yeah, I just watched junior too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's all about mental for me if the guy's going to start freshman year. With him especially, because I do think he has a strength. And I think there's things about his game that overcome a lack of size or a lack of strength, where it's like, my arms are longer than yours. You can't get good leverage on me. I have good leverage on you. And like being smarter about the game can help as well.
Okay.
I just don't want to say that like it's not possible for him to start. I think it can. I think he could, if he shows some good stuff in training camp. And they're like, hey, like we're losing tackles. We need a dude in there. I mean, Juwan James started his freshman year. We were depleted in the offensive line room, but we're about to be this year. So he could.
Yeah. Well, I, based on what I tweeted out and put out on Instagram and Facebook for the bacon junk removal, that's why I asked the all SEC linemen. It was cool when I found that piece of paper, or when I saw that paper, and then for some reason they had that paper, and they had a bunch of them, which I don't know if there was some significance to their family. Hopefully it wasn't because of the obituary or something bad. Maybe it was something good. I didn't go through it. I'm just cleaning out, doing a junk removal job. But I see it, and I'm like, well, I'm going to take at least one. I dumped the other ones because I wanted to go back and read it. It's funny. It's from 2016. And then I saw Northwestern on there, and I was like, I bet there's something in here about Kyler or the offensive line. And there was. So that was cool. But Mr. All SEC, that's why I wanted to ask you about David Sanders. I remember when he committed, and I rarely ever will watch anything before they commit because then they might jump ship and I've just wasted time. And then I get mad at myself for getting excited about someone who's not here. But I remember watching like the first 2 or 3 minutes of it way back when he first committed. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this dude is a 5-star. Like this dude is a freak, bro. Yeah. Like his feet, his hands. I was like, it's awesome. It's awesome. Then you see him in person. I'm like, looks good. And I try to take it into account. Like we all look very different in pads. Like we really do. Like I think people would be surprised how some people look in person compared to in pads. Like they look much bigger. But I saw him in person, and then I go back and I watch. I try to find some senior year stuff, can't. So I go back to junior year, and I took a whole page of notes just because I wanted to. But it's basically everything you said. Is he's super smooth, he's super fluid, he finishes, so he can be finesse and nasty. Mm-hmm. Getting out in space was awesome. I mean, the dude looks like he's as fast or as athletic as second and third level guys, which is insane. There was a couple pass pros that one of them I thought he maybe leaned a little too much instead of waiting back. Yeah. But then all the other ones, man, like there was a couple where the guys would show hands and he would swipe them down immediately and just kill the hands. There was other ones where he'd get their hands on them in pass pro and they would maybe look like they were going to be able to try to move him, and then he would just stonewall them. So, I mean, it's awesome to see. And I'm always going to be excited for the 5-star quarterback, offensive tackle, or D-line. You know what I mean? Like, would I love a 5-star linebacker that murders people and is huge, or a receiver that's just unguardable, or a running back? Yeah, sure. I would take those. But the most important positions are quarterback, offensive tackle, and defensive line, getting after the quarterback.
Yeah. What makes the biggest difference?
Exactly. So we can move on from David. I don't want it to sound like we didn't talk about him a bunch, but He's a 5-star for a reason. He's awesome. I anticipate him being awesome, and it's a huge get for Tennessee. Honestly, it's a huge get.
Massive. I mean, it's a massive get after like losing out on Francis last year. The 5-star offensive lineman we had, and then it's like, hey, people were kind of doubting Glenn Ellerbe, getting after his ass, and then it's like, no, we're going to sign another 5-star in the next class.
Yeah, and the only I guess the only thing about starting as a freshman, I just looked at it, and I know how hard it is to do it, and the only one that I've really seen do it at a high level was Trey Smith. But Trey was he was interior, and B, he honestly looked like a college/NFL lineman as a senior in high school.
Yeah, so, no, he was. I mean, he was what 325 as a senior in high. Like he was big.
He was a grown adult. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Next one I have on the list is Isaiah Campbell, 6'4", 280, 4-star. He's a top 50 national, and these are all the ones I did. Where when I'm reading stuff off like this, it's composite, the 247 composite. So he's 44th national. He's the 7th D lineman. He's the number 2 player in North Carolina. Kyler, what's your thoughts on this one?
So, watching his tape, I saw a good punch and block shed from him. I saw that ability to get off the blocks and make the tackles on the edges. I saw the ability to get off blocks in pass pro. But it's when he has conviction, he does that. When he has confidence in what he's doing, he does that. There are plays where I see him kind of just trying to peek over the offensive line and being like, oh, I'm just going to find it. And I think Rodney Garner can coach that out of him, where it's like, hey, listen, when the ball snaps and you take off, I need you to punch and reset the line of scrimmage. Then you can find the ball. Then you can search for what you're looking like. Go out for what you're looking for. With him, I think his effort is going to show up on the screen, which I love. His chase downs, I'm going to continue playing. I'm going to continue running after the ball. That's the kind of stuff where if you don't have it, it's hard to get you to care about it. So I love that he already has that.
Yeah.
But then I will say that open space is his enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's in open space with an athlete, I mean, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, whatever, he can get juked. He can get missed. And I think it's a little bit of his unorthodox running style. He's super tall. It's like when he gets to space, he's got his arms up and just waving them around as he's running. And it's just kind of wild out there. But if you keep him tight, you keep him in his lanes, you keep him in that box, he's going to make plays. He's going to be able to get on guys. So it's a little double-edged sword right now with him, I think. Like when he plays with conviction, he can blow up blockers. He can make dudes miss and get a tackle. When he is unsure about what's happening, that's when he kind of slows down and is not as violent, is not as making as much, havoc out there on the field like a defensive lineman should do. And I do think he will probably bump inside, gain another 10, 15 pounds maybe. I don't want to get him way over 300. I don't know if that's comfortable for him.
Right.
If he gets a little bit more weight on him, I think that 3 technique can be good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say this, even if it's just for personal, all these guys are better players than I was. I don't like if I feel critical about these dudes. I obviously hope nothing but the best for any of them.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see it when flashing off the screen.
Yeah.
To be to be a top 50 player nationally. But I'm not watching all these other. I'm not watching tons and tons of other recruits except for the ones that Tennessee gets. He has good size, and there was times where he would stonewall a double team, and he ate up a fullback dive. He's got a pretty nice swing move. I did call him the hands up menace because when he gets through the line, he does look like Chris Jones sometimes, which Chris Jones is arguably the best interior or just D lineman in the NFL. But like where he's got those paws up and he's coming at you and like you don't know what's up. So it did kind of look funny, but it was effective. But I just don't think for me it just popped like I would have wanted it to pop. But
As
6'4",
4-star top rated guy.
Yeah. But I mean 6'4", 280. And the other thing about it is like, I can go back and think of Jason Jenkins and we watched his film. And that's the other thing too, that's good that we're 4 years into this. And I do still have
to watch these guys. And
I still have recollections. I can't tell you what Jason Jenkins' film looked like. I can't tell you the plays, but I remember being like, I don't know, like good sized kid, but I think he was like a 3-star. Like I don't know. And now you see kind of what he's progressed into because there is a lot that goes into how do these kids react? How do these kids take what's the opportunity that's given to them?
And the thing that we're missing that we don't get to see is like their smarts towards football.
Exactly.
And their attitude towards football that we don't get to see as just observers. The coaches get to talk to them. Right. Get to go to their school, get to talk to their teachers and their other coaches and start to realize like, oh, this is the kind of guy he is. Because when Rodney, obviously you split up your recruiting to regions, but, special teams coordinator brings a defensive lineman to Rodney and he shows it to him. Rodney has to make that decision of like, can I coach this guy to where I want him to be?
Right.
Yeah. If the answer is yes, great. Bring him in. Right. He's got a good body. He's got good work ethic, that effort I see out there. I can teach him how to do this, this, and this and make him a great athlete. So it's like if those position coaches realize that about those guys and they're just like, yeah, bring him in. I can work with that. So we do miss some of that part of it.
Yeah, we're just going off the film. And to be honest, I've sat and thought about it and like we've hit on like there's some guys that we watched and we loved and we were like spot on. And now they're some of our best players. Like Dylan Sampson was only a 3-star running back, but we loved his ass because I loved him for 2 reasons. One, because he's from Louisiana. 3 reasons. 1, he's from Louisiana. 2, he was a speed demon. And 3, I just thought he had really, really good vision and shake and wiggle and stuff like that. But it's like, there's some guys that I've watched that I haven't been pumped about. And they were decently highly rated guys, and like they're top of mind. Like Caleb Webb, I remember watching Caleb Webb and being like, "Yeah, he's fine." Like I don't know why he's a 4-star. I get his big size, he's big and tall and his ability, but like I didn't see a game changer in him. And now he's going to Wake Forest, which we can talk. We need to still talk about some of the transfers as well. Cam Selden, like I never really saw it. He's a 4-star guy, so it's like it's nice that we're so far into this because I can at least revert back and. To kind of finish up on Isaiah Campbell, listen, I'm watching one tape. Like you said, we're not doing all that other stuff. And all that matters is if Rodney Garner likes him and feels like he can work, and if Tim Baker likes him, then like I'm fine with it. Like whatever, But for me, it just didn't pop like I wanted to. And it is what it is. The next one I have is Marion Dye, 6'5", 270. Right outside the top 100 nationally. He's number 14. D lineman is number 1 in, I think, IN, so Indiana, I think is where he is. Mm-hmm. So I'll be honest with this one, Kyler. I first started watching it, and I was like, he was playing against babies, like literally, because he's a massive individual on screen, and he moves well. And I'm watching. I'm like. I almost wasn't impressed because, like, the offensive tackles he was going against were, horrendous. And so then I stopped watching those. I went and started watching. I think maybe I went and watched his junior film. I just remember bouncing around trying to find some film. And then I was like, you know what? I do get this one. Maybe he's not murdering guys that are higher level and he's playing a lower level. He can't control that. But I 1,000% why you go get a guy who is 6'5", 250, 260, 270, and he moves really, really well. Yeah. And the other thing about it is too, with him, is I thought he played like really hard. He's got a good motor. He hustles. He's feisty. He's fiery. Like he gets fired up. And then the last thing I'll say about it so that you can say something, I felt like he did a little bit of everything. And that's what I appreciated about his film. He wasn't just an edge guy, sack, run around someone's sack, run around someone's sack. Like, no, like I loved it because he would stop the run. It showed him disengaged blocks. He would hustle. He would chase down stuff. He got a PBU and the ball batted up in the air. He got a little line of scrimmage swat and it went up. Someone picked it off. He was fired up and juiced about it when he knew he got a tip on the ball. And then what's he do? He realizes it's a pick and he turns around and murders someone for his buddy. So it's like, I get this one. Like, I see this one, and I'll be excited to see how he translates because he basically has everything that you need. I mean, literally, like size, speed, ability, athletic ability, nasty. He's got it all.
Yeah, no, I said he fast and long. That was like the first things I wrote down. Like fast and long. And that length can be such a huge advantage. I also think I think he's really good at like his angles and like leverage on where the running back's headed, where the blockers are headed. Like he kind of understands, hey, they're trying to attack the C gap or the D gap, and he's kind of like, I'll beat my guy inside so I can make this tackle on the outside zone. You know what I mean? Like
fluid, smooth.
Yeah, he'll be the one to be like, oh, they hit a bubble. I'm going to take this angle 10, 15 yards downfield because I know that guy's faster than me, and he takes good angles. So I like that out of him. But like you said, I mean, this guy has the body for what you need out of him at 6'5", 270. I think there's the capability of him gaining weight moving inside, losing weight moving outside. Because like you said, he kind of played around everywhere.
He could be an absolute menace, either one of those. Like if he's 6'5", 250, 260, I mean, that frame and his speed and stuff is a absolutely NFL caliber guy. But then can you imagine if he kept some of that speed and agility and quickness and he's 6'5", like 290 on the interior? Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be insane.
Especially with his length. Dude.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I liked him. I mean, there's another D lineman down the list we'll talk about where I was just, what you were kind of saying is like, I don't know about the guys he's playing against, if that's like the best in the world. So that does kind of make it tough to like scout these dudes.
Yeah.
Like you're whooping up on a, 180-pound offensive lineman sometimes. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's not to discount at them. It's just like you said, it's just hard to know. And that's why the best is when you see someone who's a man amongst boys and they're playing like other good talent. But if you are playing lesser talent, then like just be a menace. Just, okay, so done with that one.
Next up.
Next one I have is Deshaun Brame, I think is how you say his name.
I said Deshaun, but I don't know.
Deshaun, but how you say his last name?
I would say Brain. I would say Brain. Okay.
Well, it's a shame that I don't know how to say DB's name because I fucking love him.
He's incredible. He's incredible for 235. That guy can move, dude.
I mean, he's insane, bro. If you want, so he's 6'6", 235, 95th player nationally. He's number 4 tight end, number 3 player in Kansas. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go. I mean,
okay.
He's at tight end, but moves like a wide receiver. I mean, so much speed. He returns punts for him and had 2 punt return touchdowns. He takes freaking short routes to the house.
Yeah.
He catches with his hands incredibly. Jumps over dudes when he needs to. He had a one-handed grab at the goal line on a play action that I was just like, golly, this dude's athletic. I see him more. I know he is listed as a tight end, but I look at him, I watch him play, I see what he's doing. I see him pushing dudes to the dirt to try and get extra yards. I'm like, this is not our replacement for Miles Kitselman. This is a replacement for Brew McCoy. Put him on the edge. Give him a hitch at 8 yards and watch him throw a DB to the dirt. That's what I want to see out of him. There was a few plays where he's in a 3-point stance where he's trying to do some blocking. This guy doesn't block. Okay. He's never blocked before. He's not the one to get in there in the mud and get a little triple team with the tackle and take out that defensive end. That's not him. I mean, you look at his 3-point stance, he's up on his toes, his feet are inside of his hips. I'm just like, this guy looks like a frog in his stance.
Easy offensive lineman, easy offensive lineman.
No, I'm going to come at him. I love his athleticism. I love his hand catching. I love his routes. I love his strength when he gets the ball in his hands. Let's put him at wideout. Let's not even think like, hey, I'm going to make you a tight end. I'm going to make you block. I'm going to make you get used to this offense that we run where you're in the backfield and you're a lead blocker on a linebacker. I don't want that. I don't want that for him. If I'm an offensive coach, I'm saying, hey, listen, you're going to be our X, okay? And you're going to run these tough routes and you're going to run these digs and you're going to use your 6'6" frame to be in front of everybody. You're going to be more athletic than all the linebackers out there, so we're going to put you in the slot. I'm going to have you run routes on them. It's like that's where you need to take advantage of him, not necessarily in the run game, not necessarily in the blocking scheme. That's what another tight end in this class is for. But I like him so much. I like his athleticism. It's out of this world.
Kyler, I turned this on. I didn't really know much about him. I see, okay, you got the tight end wide receiver. I'm like, all right, I don't really know what to expect here. Let's go in. And then immediately I'm like, holy shit. And then the next play, I'm like, what the fuck?
The next play is punt return. And you're like, wait, what?
And I'm like, so I legitimately watch a couple of these. I'm like, I don't think I'm watching, like, I think I typed it in wrong because I have one tab pulled up and then the other tab I just type in their names and go to their huddles. And I'm like, I think I legitimately went back. I was like, I don't think this is the right guy. And then I look, I'm like, no, this is the right guy. And I'm just like, holy crap, dude. Like, I'm not letting myself be like, oh, he's so athletic for a tight end. No. I'm like, even if I watch the other top wide receivers in the nation coming out of high school, I don't know how many they're going to be that much better than he is because, like, speed-wise, leaves everybody. He's a hand catcher. He controls his body. There was multiple times he had contested catches. He kept his feet in bounds. And I love this. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to shout it out. I don't want to take stuff from people. So I always used to say yak, yards after catch, but Kevin Simon was on Sports Animal, and I love K-Side, but he was saying rack, run after catch. I'm like, there's a difference because you might have a Jalen Hyatt. That boy was getting yak. He was getting yards after the catch. There's some dudes that catch it and they're getting rack or run after catch because they're making guys miss. They're leaving dudes, and it's like he breaks tackles. He's leaving dudes. It was a high school film that I'm watching. That's like I'm surprised when he got tackled because your first couple ones going into you're like, all right, let's see what this dude's about, and then he caught a couple like within the 5 yards of the offensive or 5 yards within the line of scrimmage, just a little baby hitch route, and number 3 at the tight end spot, and then there's 4 dudes around him. Nah, he leaves them all. He breaks a couple tackles. I'm like, this dude is a massive menace problem. So I just kept watching. I just enjoyed watching it. Like I don't use, we always say he's incredible. He's a beast. He's incredible. He's a menace. He's a problem. He's whatever. And some people say he's a dog. Everyone used to beast was like the cool, like was this like the saying, I don't know, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
This kid is a legitimate beast. Like he's just bigger, stronger, faster. He's a man amongst boys. I was so impressed, and I cannot wait to see what he does in this offense because not a knock on anyone else. I never watched Dante Thornton's highlights coming out of high school, but I watched them at Oregon and what he's done now. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch Chris Braslow's coming out of high school, but I've seen what he's done now. We watched Mike Matthews. We watched Braylon Staley, which I really liked. Braylon Staley's, but Braylon Staley's a totally different guy than this. Mike Matthews, I'm still very excited for him. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. But I just go back. I go back and I think of all the wide receivers and tight ends films that I've watched, and I would say that I think he's my favorite. and that he will be the one I'm most excited about watching him watch and see what he does on Saturdays, because I think it could be special.
No, and I mean, I remember how excited we were about Ethan Davis too, and like his athleticism and what he showed, and he's progressed pretty well when we've seen him. But this guy's just like you said, he's just a beast. He's a freak. He's like, get him out on the edge. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter where you put him. He's just an ultimate mismatch.
Yeah.
At 6'6", 235, like a DB.
But he moves like that. But he was so, I mean, forget being fast and forget being athletic, but just so smooth and fluid at that size. It's like, holy crap, bro.
That's what doesn't make sense. It's not per position. It's that size that he's able to do that at that size.
I mean,
you're more athletic than the guys that are on the inside of the defense. You're bigger than the guys on the outside of the defense. It's just a total mismatch.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, holy moly, dude. Like he's different.
I can't wait. I mean, Heupel, you know how fucking inventive he is. He's going to be like, here's a new toy for me to play with.
This is one of those where I don't know how the kid's a 4-star, not a 5-star. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if he needed to play better competition. I don't know what it is, but like he was awesome. He was awesome. Next one I have Travis Smith Jr., 6'3.5", 200. He's a 134 nationally, number 17th wide receiver, and this is funny. He's number 18th player in the state. I think he's a 4-star, but it's funny because he's from Georgia, and so they have tons of athletes. That's why he's 18th in the state. What's your thoughts?
I love his fight. Dude refuses to go down. He won't have it. He's a big guy. I mean, at 6'3", 199. I mean, you put a couple pounds on him, he's like way bigger than everybody that's guarding him.
Yep.
He tracks the ball really well. Yep. They throw jump balls up to him, and he comes back to it. He's able to find it in the air. He's able to go up and get it. And he's got strong hands, burners. He can turn it on. I love every time we watch wide receivers, because of the offense we run, I love when they throw a little bubble and that dude takes it to the fucking house.
I agree.
That's exactly what I want to see, because you're going to get so many chances in this offense to do that. We're going to get you the ball in space with 2 blockers. Can you do something with it? And he does it. So it's like, I love this. I think he's another big, tall wide receiver that just fits the offense we run, that fits the bubble screen, the hitch, and the go. Like that, we love doing those things. Bubble screen, hitch, go. Bubble screen, hitch, go. Like just taking advantage of those. You don't get to see as much like route running. Obviously, like it's always hard in high school because they never like pan the camera over. Right. You can't ever actually see what he's doing when he actually hits his post, when he actually hits his dig. But I love, his just fight when he gets the ball in his hands, his speed on the outside, and his size. It's like, all right, great. Let's add him to the repertoire.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes. So it was funny to watch DB and love his film, and you're on this high of like, that's what a film needs to look like. Mm-hmm. And then you come back and you're like, Travis, I'm like, all right, let's see what we got here. And then you keep watching it and you keep watching it. I'm like, yeah, like dude's a really good receiver. Dude's a good football player. Like they put him back at quarterback one time. He is a big kid. There's a couple times where you see it in like where they zoom in. You're like, yeah, that's a good size, really good size guy. And he's playing in Atlanta or in Georgia. And so it's going to be good competition. But I think what you said there, his contested catching was awesome. He went up and he won multiple 50-50 balls, whether it was on the outside or the inside. And I mean outside on the boundary, inside within the middle of the field, seams area. Mm-hmm. He did have his yak and rack. Once again, a guy that you look at who's good size, who is good size, athletic, fluid, another hands catcher. And I just want to use these as examples, not to knock anyone, but just as it's top of mind, this is another guy who was a 4-star, taller, bigger guy in a Caleb Webb that I watched, and I'm like, it's fine, but there was nothing special. This I watched, I'm like, I can see so many different components of it.
Yeah.
Like we always say, we don't want to see just a quarterback just chuck deep balls. Like, yeah, that's great, but we just don't want to just see that, or a wide receiver run by, or an edge rusher just off the edge. Like, I want to see some other stuff. And you saw that with Travis. And so you just think about it, and you go DB at 6'6", 230, you go Travis at 6'3", 200, and you're like, damn, like these are some big boys running around out on the edges. And it's, I like this film a good amount. I like that he was fiery. I want to see that. I like seeing some of that emotion. So I like this film a good amount.
I did too. I think there was like a little bit of like, shit, we just watched Deshaun. This guy's, like you said, a beast. But you still get the feel of like I said, he refuses to go down. He fights for everything. He wins those 50-50 balls. I mean, I can't ask for more. A guy who's got burners, hand catcher, wins 50-50 balls, and fights for everything. Love it. Bring him on my team.
Agreed. And you're gonna get your opportunities. And it's just what if you come in and make the best of them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like I've brought his name up multiple times, but like Caleb Webb, he's had his opportunity in game and at practice. I remember when he was a freshman, maybe it was his second year, and we were at practice, and they were trying to give him multiple opportunities. It just never clicked because Caleb's a big kid. Like I walked by him at the basketball game last week going into the bathroom, and he's a good sized looking athlete, but it just didn't click. And then I love Chaz, but Chaz didn't make his opportunity. So it's like dudes like Travis and DB, like you come in, you just got to make the plays when they're in front of you. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited for this one for one reason, and that's because we went and watched him play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did not go to the Catholic game specifically to watch Greg McIntyre George McIntyre. We went because Kyler was just in town. We wanted to go see Catholic. We wanted to go just hang out, whatever. But it happened to be that game. So we then saw him the very next day at the Florida game, walk right by us. Lean, thin, skinny boy, real skinny. Tall, but definitely skinny. I'll say this, and then I want you to jump in. I went into this unfairly, like I wasn't that impressed when we were in person.
Yeah.
So that made me go into this thinking like maybe I've kind of written him off a little bit, like I'm not that impressed. And then maybe I did like his film a decent amount, but I don't know how you felt about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of with you as well. Wasn't, blown away at the Catholic game. But watching his film, he does have a good amount of, wiggle and movement in the pocket, which is nice. He keeps his eyes downfield, which I love. And that was one thing that I said about Nico a lot last year. I was like, I love the fact that Nico moves around the pocket and he's not thinking about running. He keeps his eyes downfield. That's great. That's what we want.
Yep.
Now we're in college and Nico's playing these big games, and there's a lot of plays where he is not keeping his eyes downfield. And I'm like, here it is, right? Here is the jump from high school to college, where it's a little bit tougher when a guy's barreling down your throat and you're trying to keep your eyes downfield. Then in high school, and you're like, I'm quicker than these guys. I'm not worried about anybody hitting me. I'll keep my eyes downfield.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. But I still think he has like enough speed. He's a long strider, which gives him the speed and wiggle to have the threat of a run. Like our quarterbacks in this offense need to have threat of a run. They have to.
I agree.
We cannot have pocket passers. It's just not going to work in Heupel's offense.
You don't have to be a scrambler or a runner, but you better be mobile and not a statue.
That's right. So like I liked his movement and then his throw with like different arm angles. I thought he did well with that. And then I thought he did a really good job on deep balls. Like I thought he led his wide receivers very well. He got them to good positions in their routes. Like there's some shots from behind where he's throwing the ball up and wide receivers running like on the numbers, and he leads the ball towards the sideline, right? Because it's further away from the DB who has inside leverage on the wide receiver. So it's stuff like that you really love to see out of quarterbacks. The unfortunate thing for George is Nico is still our quarterback. George is going to come in, and Nico is going to be the quarterback. And then we've got Faison coming in 2026, 5-star, another quarterback. I don't know if George gets lost in the shuffle here. You know, good enough film. I see some good stuff out of him, but I don't know if he's coming in at the exact right time. I kind of see it as like, you know, great on you, George, but I don't know. I can easily see him being like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, I'm hitting the transfer portal in a year or so.
So, yeah, to off that point, yeah, I could see that. And once again, I do want to talk portal because we've had a decent amount of people go in the portal.
Yeah.
There's not one of them. There's not one of them that I don't understand it besides Jalen Smith. That's still the only one I don't really understand. But I think Nate Spillman we saw go in this week. Totally understand that one. Guy was never going to play here.
No.
He got a scholarship. He got an opportunity to come here. We said it. It was like we felt like they offered him because they wanted Edwin. You know, hopefully big brother leaves. That doesn't mean younger brother leaves. You know, we would hate that for that, you know, for Caleb and Elijah Herring or for Nate and Edwin. But I say all that to say with George, you still have an opportunity. So even with people leaving and those guys that have left so far, they had an opportunity. They know that they're not going to start. They've already been passed up. They've been here a couple years. So I don't think it's a culture issue. I'll just make that side note.
Yeah.
But with George as a competitor, you're still a hometown guy. You're only coming 2.5 hours down the road. Your parents can come watch you play. You get to come in. You get to watch behind Nico for a year in red shirt. And then maybe if Nico stays again, then that's really your only redshirt freshman year. You know, you're going to get paid. You're going to be with one of the best quarterback coaches in all of America with Coach Heupel. And as an athlete, like George is going to go in there and be like, I can beat out Jake Merklinger. I'm assuming that's what he feels like. He's going to be like, I'm not worried about a guy who's younger than me and Brandon Frazier or what's his name? Brandon, what is it? Frazier or Frazier?
Faison.
Okay. So he's not going to. I mean, I'm just thinking if I'm George, like I'm putting myself like I'm not worried about a guy younger. I'm going to have a year on him. You know, let him come in and try to take it. So I understand why he's coming, and I understand where you're coming from. That where he could just end up getting lost in the shuffle. Now, as a prospect, once we went to the Catholic game. Catholic is an okay team. They didn't have a good record, but it's because Catholic shouldn't be playing a lot of the teams that they're playing. Not an excuse, chill out. But it's true. Like there's some teams that we're playing that they're just going to be bigger and stronger and faster than we are. Yeah. And Catholic's got some players, and we're a scrappy bunch. But there was just times where I felt like George should have just like taken over the game because I was looking at you and I'm like, dude, his offensive line's massive. His receivers are all a bunch of big boys. And so I'm like, how are they not just diming us up? And they did end up beating us pretty badly. But I just wasn't super impressed in person for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just left that night like, yeah, like whatever. Like there's a couple balls that were a little wobbly. Like I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Then I go to his film. And I watch his film and I'm like, maybe I kind of have a little bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like not going in it with just a base, a straight flat baseline.
Yeah,
but you're right, Kyler. Like he has a really good deep ball. Like he's got a good deep ball, and I don't take that for granted anymore because I've been through Joe. We've seen some of this stuff with Nico. Like you assume good quarterbacks can just hit the deep ball because you just throw it up there and let them go and let them run. But he does have nice accuracy. He does have nice placement. I'll tell you this much. He's going to give his guys opportunities. The dude's going to throw it up there and let somebody go make a play. Sometimes that's a pick, but I would rather have him give his guys an opportunity every once in a while on matchups that he likes compared to holding it in his pocket or overthrowing. Yeah. He does have good mobility, and he did keep his eyes downfield. There was a couple plays I was like, damn, that was pretty nasty, where he would be rolling out, keep his eyes downfield, make a juke, make a move, dime one. Then there was one on the goal line where he's running, and you think he's going to run it in. Somebody presses him, and he does a little flip, a little Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Brett Favre flip. Multiple break tackles. I mean, there was a corner coming off the edge on his backside that he should have never seen coming, and he broke that tackle no problem. So, listen, the kid's a talent, and he's a good player. I think he gets rid of it quickly. I saw a lot of different throws, whether it was off platform, whether it was itches, digs, deep balls. So the kid's a really good player. He's going to have an opportunity at UT, but if he doesn't at UT, then he'll go somewhere and he'll be a pretty good player. I would be surprised if this is a Harrison Bailey type where he just doesn't really pan out, because I do think he's got the goods.
I agree with you. I think he's got it. You saw the different platform throws, like you said, rolling to his left, throwing across his body, and with accuracy, and just making plays like avoiding the blitzes, spinning off dudes like inside the pocket, and then eyes downfield again to make a throw. It's like he's got a little something to him. So I think he can be a good quarterback. I'm just when I look at what he's going to be going up against, it's tough. It is competition in the quarterback room. That's good.
It is, but you know what, man? I think it's easier to go to a place that's got competition in front of you and try to compete for a year, because if a year or two, you can dip and it's easy. You don't have to sit out a year. You don't have to drop a lower level. You're going to go. You're going to get paid. You're going to get to go. And guess what? If you go and compete and you're not going to win the job, then go back home to Vandy. You're still going to get paid well. You're still going to be in the SEC. So it's like I just don't feel like it's such a monumental thing to go commit somewhere. Because if it's not what you want in 6 months, you can leave. I'm not saying I agree and like the transfer portal, but I'm just saying it is what it is.
Yeah, there's not as much risk involved for these guys. Yeah. They can pop over somewhere else.
Yep.
Okay. Next guy on the list, got Nick Moore, 6'2", 300 pounds, interior offensive lineman.
Yep.
With Nick, he's got some good strength. And he is a punisher. He loves putting people in the dirt, teabagging them afterwards, talking his shit, which I love. He's got a lot of work with technique. He's got a lot of work with footwork. He needs to do. They kind of had him at tackle, even though he's like a center guard kind of guy.
Yep.
I would love to know his smarts, right? I would love to know his football IQ and where he's at, because he's probably, he's going to play interior. He might play center. And if you're playing center, I need you to be smart. I need you to know everything. So I just wonder about that. I think he's a fine offensive lineman. I'm not like, oh, this guy's going to make the biggest difference. It doesn't feel like the Satterwhite film. It doesn't feel like, Addison Nichols film when we watched it. But there's stuff there. Once he gets his hands on you, you're pretty much done, because he is strong. He's just like a thick bowling ball strong dude. But let's get better at some footwork. Let's get better at some pass pro, and then we might have a legit shot to make a big difference.
So let me ask you this. So I hear you, and I agree with all of it. I knew watching the film what you were going to say. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to see hardly any pass pro. There was a few pass pros. I actually like him more than maybe I would have liked other guys like this, where it's just the same old, like, oh, he's just bigger, stronger, physical. He's a bully, and he just dumps people. I like all those things. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know how that's going to translate when you have to pass pro, even in the interior. Good point on your part of how smart are you if you're playing center. For some reason, I don't know. I like Nick a little bit more than that, but maybe because I just knew what it is. Like going into it, okay, he's an interior offensive line, big body, piss and vinegar bully. But my question to you is, I would have maybe liked to seen some more pulling because we do so much pulling, and there wasn't really an opportunity to watch how he moved laterally, how his feet were. For not getting to see him pull, I still felt like he moved pretty well. And I'm going to say this. He was the guy that was finishing people and was a bully, but I felt like he did it and was an actual bully. I feel like you watch offensive linemen and their goal is every play, I just want a pancake. And sometimes they will even go overboard to pancake, whether it's that outside hands, twist, turn. I didn't feel like he did that. Does this make sense? So it's like, it's like he was just really that much more strong physical. And I felt like he played within himself. He wasn't going out there just to have a million pancakes on his highlight film. Like, he just got him out of the result of how he played the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. There's it's like kind of like the torquing that goes into it. If you're doing a lot of torquing, then you're just like trying to get the pancake on the play.
And I didn't see him doing that. I thought he just absolutely got it. I thought his hands were inside decently well, and I thought he would drive his feet well. And you can tell, like, I don't even care what the guy lifts in the weight room. I don't care. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the strongest on his team, but maybe people are like, it's not as strong as you would think he is. His field strength is strong, dude. And, like, he plays physical. So I liked it. I'm not overly excited because, like you said, there's still other aspects of the game that need to be better before he starts at the University of Tennessee. But if someone had shown me Javonte Spraggins' film when he was coming out of high school and it looked like that, I'm not going to be surprised by it. So this is very much, you have some really good potential as an interior offensive lineman, but what are those next steps that you take to whether you're a starter or not?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I wish I would have saw him in space. I wish I would have saw some pulls. Like I said, his footwork is the part where it's like, I need you to be better at it. Like, there are plays where he's literally blocking a defensive end at tackle, and he bodies the dude. He puts him in the dirt. But, like, his footwork to get to him and his footwork driving him, I'm like, where are your feet going? Like, I can't even believe you stayed up. You're moving all over the place, like crossing your legs and stuff when you're getting – but he's strong, and he gets his hands on him, and then he just – push him into the dirt. There's no resistance once he gets his hands on guys.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can get your base a little bit better, play with a little bit more pad level, it's, there can be a big difference in your game. It can jump up to the next level. So that's what you just hope that Ellerby can teach, get out of him as he moves forward. But it's like, hey, we got a good baseline where you're strong and you're a bully.
Yeah.
So how can we transform that into something more?
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Another Tennessee guy, Ethan Utley, Innsworth, 186 nationally. He's the 21st defensive line, and he's number 3 in the state of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler, I'll just say this and let you eat before I go. I really liked Ethan's film.
You did? Okay.
Whoa, that means we might disagree. Uh-oh.
We might. Listen, I liked
it a good amount. I didn't really like it or love it. I liked it a good amount.
Yeah, I liked when he used his hands and punched and got extension. It was nice. But I saw plays where he's a defensive lineman and he's doing the thing that we've talked about before that Jalen Smith does sometimes, where he like tries to avoid the block and almost puts his shoulder into it, or like tries to like jump around. I'm like, dude, use your hands, use your punch, get involved in the block. I don't like the avoidance at the linebacker position. I really don't like it at D line position. You got to get your hands on buddies. And, he had a lot of plays to start where he is rushing the passer. He's rushing the passer. And I'm like, where are the run plays? I want to see this, because like half of them, nobody blocked him.
Yeah.
He's just running around the edge and getting a sack, and like nobody's touching him. And I kind of, when you said earlier about like competition, I was like watching it just like, I mean, he's just blowing past dudes on the offensive line. There's nothing like, I just don't, I'm not seeing like, oh, look at that swim. Look at those hands working on the offensive lineman. Look at the spin. Like it was just like, look at this athlete run off the edge. And then I thought that there were times where he was very like high. He was just tall. I'm like, I need you to get lower. I need you to play with some good pad level, because when you get high like that, you get out of control. It's a lot harder to make the cuts. It's a lot harder to take on a block. I mean, I need some base to you. I need some pad level to you. 6'3", 265. Okay, right? You're not the longest guy in the world. You're not the heaviest guy in the world. So I don't know. Ethan was fine. There was things that I saw that were good, but there was also things where I was just like, okay, you know.
So now hearing that, I'm fair. Everything that you said, I'm totally fine with. I'm totally fair with. I think the reason that I liked him so much is because give me 1 second. The wife's texting me and she's at the grocery store.
Usually it's the other way around. Yes, that will be fine. You can get some KY jelly for us.
So it, like I said, everything you said is totally valid. I can see it. Listen, there's a bunch of Knoxville Catholic on there. I know that Catholic was Catholic didn't have any Kyler Curbisons on the offensive line this year. I can promise you that. No. They are struggling in the depth and overall size department at Knoxville Catholic right now on the offensive line. But what I liked about his film is I thought that he moved very fluid. He was very athletic. I actually love the fact that his first play that I watch is him at tight end with a super nice hand catch. And then they had another one where he runs and catches one like in the middle of the field. So I'm like, okay, yeah, good looking athlete, good size, big, broad guy. And then I watched him at the D line and I was like, he is running around guys. He's a good athlete. I think what I liked is because when I saw it, now granted, it didn't pop off as much as a Dalvin Hobbs. Yep. But when I watched it, I was like, this has some Dalvin Hobbs to it. I don't want to say Dalvin hasn't been as good as I thought he would be at UT, because I think his season's next year. So because he just had so much talent in front of him, but I think next year and even the year after that, it could be really, really nasty.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked. I thought Ethan was a football player. Like that's what, there was a couple guys that you watch like, oh yeah, he's just a ball player. Like he's a football player. He plays multiple positions, which I love. If you're going to be a 4-star, 5-star guy, I want to see you play both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Unless you're like at the highest level of high school football. Like I said, I loved his athletic ability. I thought he was smooth. Yeah, I liked it, but I get it. I get where you're coming from, where it's like, man, I don't know about this talent, just running around dudes. So I totally understand it, but maybe I just got a little bit more where maybe I need to go back and watch a little bit more, and I will. But maybe I just got excited on the athlete at D line.
Yeah, I mean,
and it wasn't, and I didn't see things that concerned me where he wasn't using his motor, or he wasn't physical, or he wasn't nasty. Like I didn't see that, but I get where you're like, hey, I want to see him absolutely eat up some blocks and murder some people or whatever.
Yeah, it just felt like he was getting sacks, but it wasn't popping off the screen how he was getting sacks. Like it was just like no one touched him on the play, and he's in the backfield and chases the quarterback. It's like, okay, good. Like you're an athlete,
right?
But, like I'm not seeing like the freaking punch shed offensive lineman make him look stupid, then going to get the sack, maybe a sack fumble. It's not the, hey, I'm swimming around you, making you fall forward kind of thing.
Totally hear you.
Okay. Next up, linebacker Christian Gass. Turn a gas on him. 6'2", 215. Where's he from?
Give me 1 second. I'm writing, and I will read off everything for you. So he is a Georgia boy. He is. Give me 1 second. You've already 6'2" and a half, 215. He looks tall, so I just went ahead and wrote 6'3". I'm gonna give him that half inch. So he's the 179th player nationally. He's number 22 linebacker, and he's the number. It's crazy how good Georgia is talent-wise. He's the 24th best player in the state of Georgia. So I'll be interested to see what you think about this one.
Lanky dude. Can definitely move in space. They got him in a legit linebacker position. It's not like, hey, I'm playing outside. I might be a DN. Da, da, da. No, they got him like sitting back there in a 2-point stance. Can hit that turbo button. I love to see that. I love to see the just, hey, what's going on? Figure it out. Boom, take off. Here's a screen out to the outside. I'm taking off. I get over there. Here's the, swing pass out. I'm getting over there. So I love seeing that out of him. I thought he did a good job in coverage, like staying back, dropping when, hey, nothing's coming in front of me, so I'm going to get more depth. And, that lankiness that he has helps him with that. Like he can be tall. Like you said, he gave him a 6'3". You don't see a lot of 6'3" linebacker, like really actually that tall. So that can help him. And I like the fact that he stays like really pretty good square to the line of scrimmage, stays under control in things. He does, like I said, lanky. Like it almost looks like he's got room to put on more weight. He's got thin legs. Yeah, is really what it is. But yeah, I like him. I think he's a good prospect. There's another guy down the list that we're going to talk about that I think I like even more.
He's
at that position. But I think he's good. I think he moves in space well. I think he can be a good addition to the defense. But yeah, I mean, he looks like a guy who can play that linebacker position for us for sure.
Yeah. So I was fine with it. I thought it was good. It was nothing that was like special to me, but he's fast. He moves pretty well. He's a read and react guy. He's got a little bit of violence to him. He does have a nose for the ball. I thought he tracked well. Like when his angles were good, moved in and out of blocks pretty well. He's definitely a space backer. You know what I mean? Which for Tennessee, we got two backers. Sometimes you'll see three, but really it's a two backer, and you got to be able to do it all because you have to play in space and run, but you also have to be able to take on blocks. So for what we do, we really ask our backers to kind of do it all, because if not, he could have been a really good 4-3 outside linebacker. You don't really see a 4-3 anymore because you just get replaced by the nickel. Yeah. And so I like him. I thought he tracked well. He was under control. His angles were good. Like there's multiple times he's running sideline to sideline, and I see him that his shoulder pads and helmet are coming on the inside. So he's not overrunning stuff. And yeah, I thought it was good. It wasn't necessarily anything special, but I was fine with it. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, I think he's a good prospect, a guy that can help.
Yeah.
For sure. But there's like other linebacker film that I've watched before where like say another lanky, long linebacker like an Edwin Spillman that we watched before, kind of the same body type, but I saw more out of Edwin.
Nah, Edwin's not that tall. Edwin's like 6'1".
He's lanky though.
I don't think so. I don't know what Edwin Spillman you're talking about. I thought Edwin Spillman was a dog. Like he was, he wasn't huge, so maybe that's where you're saying he's a little bit lankier, but Edwin was 6'1", probably 215.
Yeah.
But another one here. So let me pull it up and read it off. Give me a second. Okay, so we have Mr. Jaden Lofton, Somerville, New Jersey. 6'4", 250. Good size. I like that size. 4-star. He's 286 nationally, 25th edge, and he's the 6th in the state of New Jersey. What says you all SEC, Kyler?
I love his combo, speed and hands. I mean,
Yeah.
he can get on the edge and he knocks hands away. He fights with the swim. He moves off dudes. Chop rip. Like, he's got moves in his arsenal and he's got the speed to go with it. And then he just loves it. Loves ball. Makes tackle, gets up, starts freaking pumping his fist, gets intense. You love to see that out of defense. It gets everybody else fired up. And it's funny, like the defense that he plays, they got him almost like two-gapping. Like he's a 4-eye. He's in between the guard and the tackle, and he's kind of playing the gap. And that's not necessarily what we would do with him. He's not going to be doing that in this defense. He's going to be outside. He's going to be on the edge. So it was interesting to kind of see him inside, almost dealing with more than he would in our defense. And I think he did a good job with it. Another guy that I think has good length to him, and it can extend his arms on dudes. But I liked him. I liked him a lot. Like I said, the combo of speed and hands can win you a lot of rushes.
So, yeah, when I first started out and watching it, a couple guys on the film that he's playing against, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know who he's playing up here in old Somerville, New Jersey. And then I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy ain't 6'1", 6'2", 220. I'm like, he's 6'4", 250. And I'm like, he's moving well. I love how he plays. You and I are always going to love somebody that's fiery and loves ball. And he had a great motor, and his hands never stopped. There was a couple times which I don't love to see him necessarily get stopped, but I love to see that he's got something else coming right back with it. If he went inside and he maybe got stopped, and he's coming right back outside with a counter move. He was relentless. It was funny, Kyler, because I'm so used to watching let's see, I think they have him listed as an edge. Yeah, they have him listed as edge. And I'm so used to you and I watching edge guys that are stand-up. A lot of in high school, they're the stand-up, outside linebacker. They have their DN stand-up. And then I'm thinking the other guys we watch, like the first two guys that we talked about, they're more hands in the dirt, and they might be a traditional D end, or they'll even have him in a defense tackle. But it was funny because he was like a traditional 4-3 outside, or a 4-3 defensive end, where his hand was in the dirt. Like he's not standing up. And so I think in a way that helps him for the next level, because for me, and I don't know your opinion, I feel like it's easier to transition to standing up compared to putting your hand in the dirt, because of the way that you're going to attack as an edge guy. So James Pierce standing there with 1 foot up like he's about to come off and win a rush is a hell of a lot different than when he's got to get down, both hands in the dirt, and he might have to be taking on this block to try to stop a 3rd and 3. So I feel like that almost gives him an advantage. And he's one of those guys that we've never spoken a word to him. We know nothing about how he was raised. We know nothing about what kind of teammate he is. But you just turn on a film and you hit it on the head. It's like, I'm going to be surprised if a guy like this doesn't end up making plays and making some sort of a name for himself, because he just seems to just love football. He loves playing it, and that makes me usually think that whether he got paid or whether it was his buddies playing in the backyard, like he just wants to go play. And so I really enjoyed that. And I ended up liking this film more than I expected, at least from like when it first started. I'm like, okay, that guy looks like he's playing against a future accountant. But I ended up really enjoying it.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, like you said, it is a difference in being 2-point, 3-point. He's in 3-point, like I said, in between the guard and tackle. Like he's playing a traditional like bear defense as a defensive end. It's like totally different.
Yeah, I think it hits different too when you're watching because, as I've mentioned, you and I can watch a guy come off the edge and run around someone who's just faster, but that doesn't necessarily impress us after you've done it 2 or 3 times. Like, we get it. You're faster than that fat left tackle or right tackle in high school. But this, you know what this felt like? It almost felt like Jaden really had to earn it a little bit more. He's still a good-sized kid. He's still a really good-sized kid, 6'4", 250. Yeah. But you're still working a couple of offensive linemen. Like, you still got to work it a little bit more than just I bent the edge. Oh, I bent the edge.
Yep. I completely agree with you.
All right, let the love fest start. No, I'm sorry.
These last three, I couldn't believe it. We started with David Sanders Jr. We're going literally down the list, and I was like, y'all are saving the best for last.
Well, I spoke too soon. Mine's one more away for my love fest.
I agree. I'm just saying the last three I liked a lot.
Okay. All right, so we got Jaden. How do you say Jaden's last name, you think?
Perlate?
Okay. We'll say we got another JP, a Buford, Georgia boy, 6'2.5", 202, 276 player nationally. The number 30 linebacker and the number 40 in the state of Georgia. Kyler, what says you?
So they got him at linebacker, but 202 makes me lean towards different position, not necessarily linebacker.
Okay.
But man, this dude plays in space, and he is a ball watcher, ball knower. The way he's able to read the offense and is like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you got a guy in motion? Oh, let me come get over there. Like, it kind of felt like they let him freelance a little bit out there on defense, and I like that. He was fast out there freelancing. He was just making those decisions, making open field tackles, kind of playing linebacker, but also like, hey, let me get out here on the edge. Hey, let me be at safety. Hey, let me be, he's the kind of guy where you're like, let's put him at star. Let's put him at the star position. Let's have him cover. Let's also have him, stop the run. He's big enough where he can come up and make those tackles. He's small enough where he's still got the speed to cover dudes. I liked it. I just liked him coming with violence as well.
Yep.
And I just liked his film a lot. I wasn't – when I turned it on, I had to, look at it again. I was like, wait, he's a linebacker? Like, wait. This guy looks like he's supposed to be the star. He's supposed to be the DB. So I think – I don't know. Maybe he's mispositioned in this recruiting class because I feel like if he's at DB, people are like, oh, my God, look at this DB out here. Bigger than everybody else. Like, he looks like a dude who could be the Taylor Mays kind of safety. Listen. When we make comparisons, we're not saying that he will be that or he is that caliber. We're just saying
Taylor Mays. No, the reason I'm saying is because Taylor Mays was overrated as shiznit. If you want to talk about a great safety, you got to say Eric Berry, but I get it. He doesn't play the Eric Berry position. You know what position he plays very well?
What's that?
Is the Jalen Ramsey Florida State position. So that that's more of what I see. Don't throw. I don't want to put Taylor Mays on there because I don't think Taylor Mays was that good. I think it was more media hype.
Yeah.
Anyways. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just can't let you say Taylor Mays.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I liked his film a lot. I thought this is a guy that they're recruiting at linebacker, but he's going to be a star dude. He's going to be that hybrid. And hell, if they need some guys in the linebacker room and they need some more depth, he can almost pop back inside.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I liked him a lot as well. This is a Swiss Army knife. This is I don't want to look at him in a bad way with, offensively. You'll find a guy and you're like, was he a receiver? Is he a running back? What do we do? Oh, he's just one of those. Yeah, he's an athlete. He's an offensive weapon. You just got to give him the ball. You have to be extremely elite and special to be able to just be that type of guy. And even still, sometimes you just don't fit into an offense and it doesn't work. Defensively, usually that's not the case. If you have a good defensive coordinator, they are going to find a place for a guy like this.
Yeah.
You can be a defensive weapon because there's so many different sub packages and the way the game is played now that and this is an absolute compliment, and it's not jack of all trades, master of some, or what's that? This is good at some, master of none. I don't necessarily see that with him. I would literally see him being a star position. I could see him being a linebacker. Hell, the way he moved, dude could play safety, and so it's like I can see the world is his oyster. I'll be excited to see where they put him. I'll be excited if they're like, hey, you are 6'2 and a half, 6'3", 205 or 200, 202. We want you to stay around that 200 and just get stronger. And you are going to be a nickel or a safety, or we want you to see if you can get you 215, 220. And if they think that he can play physical enough inside, that he is a linebacker, because guess what he does? He plays fast, he runs, he hits, he tackles, like he plays the ball. He's a football player, dude. He's a good player. He's another one of these guys that's just a good football player, and I'll be very excited to see, how they use him.
I mean, this star position on defense is like so fun to watch. Like it's like such a fun position to be like, hey, you're literally doing everything. I got you doing everything. You're bumping in the box on some plays. You're keeping contained on the others. You're covering slot guys. Like, I love this position and the guys that we've had over these like few years with Tim Banks. It's like fun. It is fun to watch these dudes. It's fun to watch Danico Slaughter. It's fun to watch Boo Carter. It's fun, dude. I like that position is like something that you want to play as a defender.
Yeah, no, and just just think even before Danico or Tamarian or Boo, like think, you had, I think, was it Theo Jackson that got to play his first year under Heupel, and the dude was all over the field and then ends up getting drafted. And then I forget who it was, Heupel's second year. But this guy, just imagine having Boo Carter, but, 2 or 3, 4 inches taller and longer. I mean, because that's kind of what he is. I'm not saying that he maybe is the athlete that Boo is, but he runs really fluid and really well. So, anyways, I really, really liked it. I think he's a really good player. I'll be very excited to see how it goes. This next one, and this is no disrespect.
The steal of the class.
Dude, once again, and I'll just say it, so it's Jaden Harmon. He committed back in the summer, and I was just drinking coffee or chilling. I had nothing really to do. I was just scrolling my phone, and I saw that he committed. I was like, all right, let's just take a watch. Like I said about David Sanders, I said this when talking about David Sanders, I usually don't watch these guys. Yeah. But it just so there was no reason for me to watch him besides I was just scrolling my phone and had nothing else to do. I was like, all right, let's watch a little film, and let's just watch a little film in August. And then I watched it, and I was immediately in love. And I immediately, in the back of my mind and in my heart, was like, I can't wait to watch his senior film, and I'm going to be really bummed out if we lose out on this kid, which I hate that feeling.
That's why you don't watch it then.
Exactly. But this is a compliment. The biggest compliment I can give to him for me personally is that he got me excited to not lose him, because this is one of my favorite highlight tapes I've watched in my entire time of doing this with you. So we've been doing this for 4 years now. It's one of my favorite highlight films at any position. It's probably my favorite linebacker position for sure. The guy is an absolute stud in every sense of the word.
He is a fantastic linebacker. He does everything you want out of a linebacker.
He's a fantastic football player.
Yes.
Screw linebacker. He's a fantastic football player. And
I just like watching it. I was like, this guy, this is the linebacker. Like when you say, hey, I want a linebacker, he's it. He's the picture in the dictionary.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm like, oh, because I'll just go ahead and reach it out. So he's 6'1", 217. He's from Rome, Georgia. He is 4-star national. He's a 141 player. He's a 17 linebacker, 18 in the state of Georgia. But I think what you said is perfect. He's the steal of this class for us as Tennessee. Like, he's the steal out of our 20-something guys. But I don't think I can go and watch another 10, 20, 15, 30 guys in the nation. Well, actually, you know what? I don't think I'm watching 17 better linebacker films than him in the nation. And I don't think that if he's the 141th player nationally, I don't think I watch 141 players better than him, because he's not just a linebacker. I mean, they got his ass at quarterback, running back. I mean, he does it all. Like, everything that I'm slobbering on him right now, everything that I'm like, I don't mind it, because I love everything about it. If I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to have a son, and he says, you know, hey, like, how do you play football? What does a football player look like? I just pull this up and be like, this is what a high school film should look like.
Exactly. You should play both ways. You should be the best athlete on the field at a linebacker position. He gets the ball in his hands. First play, he gets an interception, ball in his hands, makes dudes miss as a linebacker. He's at running back, direct snap, makes guys miss, jukes them out, then top end speed and finishes. He's at his position. He gets outside, chases down dudes, and shows up with violence in space. He stays square to the line of scrimmage the entire time. He stays under control when he is in space, and he has to make tackles. And the dude's got fucking kickoff highlights on his freaking film. How many guys you see with kickoff highlights? He's running down, lowering the boom on buddies, making dudes miss, and then making the tackle. It's like he shows everything that you want to see. He slow played that little interception he had. He slow played another like PBU he had, where he's just like toying with those quarterbacks. And he great pursuit, great speed, great violence, hits dudes when he comes up. He, like, when you see him out there, he kind of looks like a bowling ball. And you think, oh, this guy might be like 5'9" and like, you know, thick. No, he's 6'1". He's a big dude. And I just loved everything about his film.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, besides just being a football player and being an athlete, I mean, to talk about the linebacker position, under control, his steps look great, his eyes look great, feet are awesome. I mean, he comes in, plays a read option, he forces the give, but then makes the tackle. Obviously, he'll do it all. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers and best players in the country, and he's running down on kickoff. Not too good for that.
I mean, his first year, we'll see him on special teams.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if he.
We're gonna be like, oh, there's Harmon with another tackle on the kickoff on the punt.
He's he plays in space well, because he's at that outside linebacker, but there's nothing about his game that makes me think that he couldn't play, you know, our inside. Well, I mean, our two linebacker set, because he's going to chase. He has that Madden glitch where once he closes and once he decides what he's doing, he goes and he gets there. He closes so quickly, so well. I don't see him like seeming like a guy who's just lunging. He's under control with his tackling. Like I said, physical, taking on blocks. He's going to, if he has to at linebacker, if he's got to be in man coverage against a back, I feel very confident. If he's got to be in man coverage against a tight end or receiver, I'm probably going to feel pretty damn confident. I know the athletes change when you get to this level, but based on what you watch and what you see with him, he's awesome. He is awesome. And he comes in, if he's an early enrollee and he's here, like, I see him playing some next year, definitely on special teams. I wouldn't be – listen, dude, if Jalen Smith could play some as a freshman, I don't know how this guy doesn't play some. So you got T. Lander and Arian Carter. If they come back next year and play, you're going to have an elder statesman at Caleb Perry, who's been in the program a lot, but I don't – you know, Caleb, even as an older guy, doesn't have the juice like this.
No.
You're going to have Edwin Spillman and him competing. I just easily one of my favorite recruits I've ever watched and seen.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I'm just so happy. Like I said, man, I was sitting right out there on that porch and I watched this kid and I was like, holy man, this kid is awesome. And then just in the back of my mind, anytime I heard about recruiting, I'm like, please just don't be. This sounds terrible because I forgot his name. I was like, all I remembered is I was like, please don't be that kid from the Georgia area. And I just remembered his jersey uniform and his profile picture. I was like, please don't be that kid that we lose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a beast. We talked about freaking Brain being a beast. This guy's a freaking beast.
Yeah, and you said this is the definition when you look him up, and that's what they have. Yeah, 6'1", 217. Hey, that's good size. He'll get up to that 225, 230. Now, granted, if he was 6'2 and a half, 225, 230, then I think that's what he's a 5-star size-wise.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, the last one that we will be talking about today is Mr. Jack Van Dorselaar. Is that how you say it?
Maybe.
JVD. We got a little South Lake, Texas boy, and 6'5", 230. He is the 65th player nationally, 16th athlete, and he's the 51st best player in the state of Texas. Kyler Kerberson,
playing Texas ball. He's going against good competition. This is the overall tight end that you want. This guy is the one who can run the routes for you, who can make the catches, who can block, who can stay in the run game. This is that guy. This is the replacement to Miles Kitselman. This is the one I love. Brain, huge dude. Yes, he's listed as tight end. I see wide receiver out of him. This guy's a tight end. This is the exact tight end you recruit, okay? Hands in his blocking is great. His footwork is great. He pulls and finds work. He puts his face in the fan up on linebackers. I love to see that. He works well with the tackles and double teams. I love to see that. His offense puts him in situations that we're going to put him in our offense, which is great. When he does get the ball in his hands, he's got speed. He's got a little wiggle to him. He can make a guy miss here and there. He can stiff arm a dude, which that's what, hey, I'm not expecting a tight end to take it all the way to the house. If you can get some extra yardage, if you can get that first down when you catch it 8 yards in, I like that. I like that out of him. And he's a hands catcher. He's always going up with his hands. He's not catching with his body. He's always leading with his hands. He can do jump balls. He can be the guy, hey, you need an outlet, throw it to him. And he just looks the part, man. I mean, 6'5", 230. Guy looks good.
Yeah.
Solid frame. Is able to get in the mud in the interior with the offensive lineman, but still looks athletic enough out in space. I really like this film. I think he's the overall tight end that you're looking for in this offense. That's going to be in the backfield. That's going to be up on the line of scrimmage, where Deshaun is more that spread him out, get him out wide, get him against these DBs because he's got that size advantage. But I like Jack. I like Jack a lot.
Yeah, so I do as well. First thing that I noticed is, they have him in the first thing I noticed is South Lake, Texas, South Lake Carroll. So I'm like, all right, he's coming from really good competition. Yep. He's coming from a really, really good program. I love that we're able to go pick him out and grab him out of that state of Texas. So they have him as an athlete, which he is an athlete, but I want to go and watch some of the other tight ends in that state because I'll be interested and curious to see who they think is better. Because just for example, as a Tennessee fan, he looks exactly like Miles. Like for his level, I mean, and a lot of the stuff where he's pulling and blocking, running different routes, catching it, leaving dudes. I think you hit the nail on the head that this is your replacement for Miles. And the thing about tight end for Tennessee is you're going to be heavily involved. So, and the good thing about if you come play tight end at Tennessee, you're not just going to be a run blocker. You're not just going to be a pass catcher. You are actually going to be pretty developed for the next level because of how we do run our offense, and whether you're pulling and blocking, whether you do get to show your athletic ability in space, like you said, be a hands catcher, lead people. Our tight ends have been extremely involved the entire time Heupel's been here, whether it's been Jacob and Princeton Fant, whether it was Callie and Jacob Warren, and now Miles and Holden, and then, Ethan as the younger guy. So I sound like I'm pitching other tight ends to come here, but watching, it's nice that it felt like we were just watching a guy who's already playing for Tennessee with their style of offense, what they're asking him to do. It's not, he's going to need to learn X, Y, and Z or this to get on the film. It's like he feels like as much of a plug-and-play guy as you can. And like you said, he looks the part. So it's like, all right, well, yeah, you can get some more weight on you, but he already looks pretty good. He already plays physical. He already catches well. Like I said, as much of a plug-and-play guy as you can get.
You heard a lot, like, from college to NFL where they're like, he's NFL ready. Right, the quarterback, he's NFL ready because he's run a pro style. He understands under center, like he's there. He feels like that to college, right? Like he almost feels like he's just ready to just put right in. Agreed.
And so I was really impressed. I thought that, and then I didn't watch any of them, but I did see he's got some D-end highlights, and I might go back and watch some of those just for fun. But it's, once again, I love that. It's, hey, he's going to play both sides of the ball. In high school, which means you're going to be physical, you're going to be nasty, you're going to be asked to do some stuff. This is one of those, knock on wood, not to jinx anything, but like this is one of those that I would be surprised that if in a couple of years he's not playing and playing significant minutes, and he's hitting a portal or something. That's the one where I'm like, what went wrong here? Because it seems like a perfect marriage all the way around.
Yeah, like I feel like he can get snaps his first year at tight end, and he will definitely get snaps on special teams. Like, he's going to play.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't think he will have the ability to redshirt. That's like how ready I think he is.
Yeah, which is great for him and Tennessee. I mean,
it's great for us.
Yeah, but it's good for him too if he can come in and start playing right away and start his clock and whatever else. I'm assuming if he has ambitions to go on to the next level. All right, so we're at 146. Anytime we talk about recruits, it goes a while. Flip that thing down. As a reminder, we will talk about the other part of the recruits at some point. We just had to split it in half. I couldn't be more excited for this game, like the rest of us.
I know.
I've thought about it a lot. I've watched Ohio State against Indiana. I watched Ohio State against Penn State. I watched a little bit of it against Michigan, and I try not to take into account too much of the Michigan game because of what that game means and the pressure and the rivalry and all that type of stuff, because Michigan's not a good football team, but you just, that one's, you throw out the records of it's an Alabama, Auburn type that I've seen way too many times over the years where one team's, Auburn's not as good as they should be, but they fight and almost beat them or whatever. For me, Kyler, I haven't been overly impressed with Ohio State. I've heard about how good and how deep their roster is and how talented they are. It seems like one of those teams that is a lot of names and it's an all-star team, but for whatever reason, you look up and they drop 3 or 4 games on the year and you're like, it doesn't feel right. They don't have it. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel right. And that's how I felt when they were playing Penn State. And that game was ugly and kind of gross. And the Penn State debacle at the goal line towards the end. And that was more an indictment on Penn State and their play calling and their execution than I thought it was. I thought it was more of an indictment on them than impressive it was on Ohio State. Indiana, I don't know how good Indiana is, and I still think that game could be somewhat of a game if there's not an absolute choke job on special teams. And so I say all that to just say I'm I say all that to say that I'm not overly impressed with Ohio State. And for me personally, this game truly is more about Tennessee being Tennessee. And what I mean by that is there's plenty of times Heupel's been here that I'm like, hey, Tennessee has to go out and play their best ball to give them a shot to win, to give them a shot to make it a fourth quarter game. We're going to need the ball to bounce our way. I truly think if Tennessee goes out and plays one of their better games of the year, I think they win. And I don't think I'm like super, super nervous about it. Like I feel pretty confident and good. Now, maybe that's naive. Maybe that's because I haven't broken down film and I've just observed TV of I've just observed Ohio State on TV. But it's like I think this game's more about Tennessee. And once again, their quarterback does not scare me, which is not ideal in college football trying to win a national championship when the most important position on your team you don't feel good about. And Ohio State's fans don't feel good about Will Howard. Like, he hasn't been good. And I know I know our defense is going to travel. Our defensive line is going to travel. I personally think Ohio State better try to really pound the rock, play action, dink and dunk. Because if they try to open it up and air it out with Will Howard, I think we could eat. And really this game comes down to offensively for me. Does Nico play pretty well like he did in that first half against Georgia? No turnovers and offensive line. The offensive line cannot shoot us in the foot with holding penalties, mistakes, offsides, things of that nature.
Yeah. I'm with you about the Ohio State take of like, I don't know how great this team is because like I remember the feeling going into Georgia at Georgia, it was if we play our best game, we can beat this team. Going into this one, I don't feel the same way. I feel that we could be in the same situation that we were versus Bama, and we can win this game, where we don't score a point in the first half, and it's 3-0 at halftime, and we can still win this game.
Agreed.
Same like versus Oklahoma, versus Florida, where we don't have to play our best and we can win. I think, their defense is seen as a pretty damn good defense. What they've been able to do all year, their wins versus Indiana and Penn State, holding them to, not a lot of points. The stops they made versus Michigan, their defense was the only thing that was keeping them in that game. They're seen as really good, but like I watch certain games and I watch the Penn State and I'm like, they're not really getting any pressure with 4. They got to blitz. Mm-hmm. They got to bring extra guys to get that pressure. They're having these turnovers, but it's like, where is this quarterback going with the ball? Where's this Indiana quarterback trying to put it? Where's this Michigan quarterback's awful? So he's like throwing these balls for interceptions that are just horrible throws. So it's like, I don't know if their defense is that crazy. And then, dude, I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State as the season went on. I went back and watched them now. I heard about this Jack Sawyer guy, and it was just like, oh, here's this linebacker at Ohio State that's going to be, their captain, they're smart, the leader. And then I watch, and he's a defensive end. And that changed my perspective entirely about him and the position he plays and who he is to this team. Because I've told you 1,000 times before, whenever we would play these Big Ten teams and me at a tackle got to go against a white defensive end, I was over the moon happy because I did not have to go against the Dante Fowlers. I did not have to go against the Shane Rays. I did not have to go against these absolute freak athletes out there. I got to go against the thick white defensive end who was also going to try and use his strength against me. Okay, like, come on, use your strength on me. Try it. Because I felt like that was my strength. So same thing with Jack. I did then realize he was defensive end. I was like, okay, like good luck. I love a white defensive end. Please be out there on the field. So I sit there and go, all right, well, their defense is good, not great. Our offense, the only thing that has stopped us all year is ourselves. I think we can take advantage of them. And if not, our defense can very much take advantage of their offense. Their weakest point right now in their offense is their interior offensive line. Their starting center is out. Pretty sure he's not going to play anymore. When pressure was had versus Michigan, it was up the middle. So I think they can continue to do that. What offense that they try and run, I've watched Chip Kelly for a long time. They want to hit the edges with their run game. They want to hit the C, D, E gap. They want to hit the outsides. It's outside zone. It's trap plays to the end. It's pullers. They're not trying to hit up the middle too much. So it's going to be very important for our defensive ends on this game, which it's like, all right, I got to.
It's our two best. Yeah.
Has to be important. Josiah Josephs has to be important. I like that. Right?
Yeah, two of our best players.
Yeah, it's two of our best players. Their wide receivers are supposed to be their strength on their offense. You know what? I like Jermod McCoy versus Jeremiah Smith. I like Ricky Gibson versus Abuka or whatever his name is. I like them versus Tate. I like Boo Carter on Tate. I like those matchups. I like that Will Howard is their quarterback. I like to see that he has interception versus Penn State. He has interception versus Indiana. He has 2 interceptions versus Michigan. That boy throws the ball away.
Yeah.
Okay. He also shits down his leg in special situations. He freaks out. He doesn't know what he's doing. That Oregon game in the last drive, he was – I would have called a timeout if I was his coach and been like, you need to calm down, because he was freaking out. He gets into another opportunity versus Michigan with 50 seconds left, no timeouts, but you can go down and kick a field goal and tie this game up. Again, he freaks out. He's not getting the easy plays. He's not getting he just doesn't know what he's doing out there. And it's like, if I were a fan and saw, hey, we've got 45 seconds left, no timeouts, I think back to Alabama 2022. I think back to, these opportunities where, hey, here's this time before the half and we're able to go down the field and we're able to score. Like, I trust in that. I don't know if Ohio State people trust in this team. And another part of the reason I have confidence is the past 4 years, Michigan has given the ultimate blueprint on how to beat this team. Whether they were good, whether they were bad, Michigan was like, we know exactly how to beat you. And if we create the game plan and we control the game the entire time, we control it with our running, we can control it with our defense. I mean, what team in this playoff doesn't control games with their running and their defense besides Tennessee?
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan Sampson, SEC Player of the Year, 20-plus touchdowns on the season. We control our offense through the run game, and we have one of the best defenses in the country. So it's like this sets up for success versus Ohio State. Do we go out there and execute on offense? That is the biggest thing to me.
Yeah.
Defense, I'm not worried about. Offense is just like execute and we win this game. Execute and we win this game easily. I honestly feel that way. You hit the deep balls that are open. You don't have the stupid holding penalties. You don't have the stupid offsides or the random fumbles, Dylan Sampson. You execute and you can whip this team.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Great pod. I enjoyed this one. It was a long one, but I thoroughly enjoyed talking about some of these incoming players.
I agree.
We will still talk, as I mentioned, the other recruits, and we will talk transfer portal guys and stuff. But I enjoyed previewing the game, and I hope that when I see you to record next Sunday, I hope it's a fun one.
I do too. I'm excited, man.
See you, brother.
All right, see ya. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate and review, download, re-download, follow us on all those listening platforms, follow us on social media. All of the links are in the description below, so check us out. Thank you guys for being the best fans in the world. And as always, go.